Fueled by Temperance Spirits, Edmonton's leading non-alcoholic beverage provider. Order online for doorstep delivery.
Welcome back, Oilers fans. Would you believe it if I said in the year of our Lord 2023, Sam Gagner would have 2 goals as an Edmonton Oiler? It's wild. I can't believe it. It's a highlight point on a pretty poopy game. Zach,
yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, all in all, like, if this game ended 50 minutes in, I would have been furious. Still am really upset. Obviously, seeing Sam Gagner score not 1 but 2 goals was awesome to see. He's like outscored the entire bottom 6 in 6 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever. I don't know, 13 minutes by his time that he got tonight. Yeah, not very happy. This was a pretty bad game from a number of people. I'm sure we'll get into all of it tonight, but obviously seeing Sam Gagner score, seeing the excitement from him, the crowd, everything. Yeah, that was definitely nice to see. It made me feel a little bit better, but obviously this team's still 2-6-1. Like there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of positives, but a lot of things that we need to be addressed.
And make no mistake, right? Like, the Dallas Stars are a good team. They are,
of course,
they are a dominant team in the Central Division. It doesn't matter if they're in the back-to-back situation with Calgary. They sure didn't come out of it looking like they were playing back-to-back nights. And Wedgwood last game against the Oilers, he beat us last season, and this season he's done it again. Like, it's not just getting goalied by Ottinger. We have some serious problems against this sort of Dallas offense.
Well,
and
I don't know, man, because like if you look at the goalies, and just like if you're talking about Wedgwood specifically, like Wedgwood had an 883 coming into the game. Like, he hadn't played fantastic this season. The Oilers were already shut out by Jonathan Quick, who was the worst goalie in the NHL last year. Like, they should be capable of scoring more than 1 goal in the first 2 periods or whatever on Scott Wedgwood. They weren't able to finish anything. Brown had a number of chances. When was the last time we saw Leon Draisaitl miss 4 one-timers from his spot in on the power play with an empty net, or even 5
never go wide?
Like, exactly. Well, they goes wide from time to time. But I don't think he hit the net once. Like, there were so many uncharacteristic plays. McDavid looked not McDavid like at all. This is one of the worst games we've seen from him. But like, he obviously hurt.
Feels like he's definitely rushed back. Hurt.
We did not see him pick up the puck in his own zone and rush it up ice with speed like we usually see when he's healthy, 2, 3, 4 times a game. Didn't see that once a day. The only time McDavid ever made moves with the puck was when the Oilers were up a man on the power play, and he kind of had a lane to the net. It wasn't necessarily contested. He's clearly hurt now. Yeah. And that's a big problem, because you look at this game and there's a number of ways you can go and point. You can say, okay, McDavid and Draisaitl were pointless in a 1-goal game that the Oilers lost. Stuart Skinner letting some goals, or at least 1 goal, where you could say he should not have let in. That is another goal. You can go up and down and point to many different reasons and say, okay, this is why they lost, that's why they lost. Evan Bouchard on the Rupe Hintz goal that made it 4-1 was literally standing there. Like, I've been defending him all season. Like, come on, where's the awareness? That was garbage. That's Justin Schultz at the end of his tenure level crap. Like, we cannot be seeing from Evan Bouchard.
And look, we'll get into all of this and more. Obviously, we'll talk Gagner, we'll talk about the game, we'll talk about the players, Dallas and Edmonton. But first, want to welcome back to Game Over Edmonton our friends, Temperance Spirits, the city's leading non-alcoholic beverage provider. Visit Temperance online for a curated selection of non-alcoholic options. Choose from a variety of craft beers, mocktails, wines, and spirits. Temperance isn't just a retailer, it's a community of Edmontonians who celebrate the spirit of socializing without the need for alcohol. And with Temperance Spirits' online shop, ordering your favorite non-alc bevvies or right to your door is as easy as Connor scoring the winning goal, just not tonight. Find our partners at Temperance online at www.temperance-spirits.com for delivery to your door, and use the code SDPN for 10% off your order at checkout. Give them a follow on Instagram and Facebook as well at Temperance Spirits. And once again, use the code SDPN for 10% off your order at checkout. Zach, we are back. Look, there's a lot to complain about, and there's so much work that this Oilers team needs to do before we can really start calling them back. But let's start with a good point tonight, right? We'll talk about Sam Gagner first and foremost. Third tour of duty. Like, what can you say about this legend?
Oh man, he was one of my favorite Oilers back in the 12-13 season. He was a legend. I thought he was going to be captain. I'm sure everyone did. Everyone heard that rumor. Just a legend. Connor Brown nicknamed him Papa Oiler today, and I think that suits him well. I think there's not one person in the city who dislikes Sam Gagner. And obviously you kind of had the expectations of, okay, he's kind of like another Derek Ryan here on the fourth line. He's in the twilight of his career. He's going to come in. He's going to be a lot of vibes, a lot of good energy, that type of stuff. But oh my God, did he exceed my expectations? I don't know what kind of hip surgery he had, but oh my God, he looked rejuvenated. Is he the fastest player in the world? Absolutely not. But you know what what he had that a lot of the Oilers haven't had so far this season? It's effort. It's that extra opportunity. It's creating your own luck. We can sit here and we can bitch and complain about, oh man, you know what? And I did this earlier. Oh, the Oilers are getting PDO to hell. The shots from McLeod, Holloway, whatever, they're not going in. McDavid and Draisaitl not going in. They're not. Darnell Nurse, Evan Bouchard, 3 posts tonight in the second period. They're just getting so unlucky. Oh man, Skinner, how could he have that? How could he have that? Oh man, Evan Bouchard, defense, blah, blah, blah. But Sam Gagner said, fuck all that. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to work as hard as I absolutely can, and I am going to create. Sam Gagner should not be expected, and I don't think anyone did expect him to score 2 goals tonight. But Sam Gagner came in, he worked his ass off, just like Evander Kane, who has been the last 2-3 games, has worked his ass off, and those two were the Oilers' best players tonight. I never thought in my life I would say Kane and Gagner were the Oilers' best players in a NHL hockey game. It feels ridiculous.
Is this 07? Is this like what year is
London
this?
Knights? Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. Then that might be a sign of bigger things, but oh my God, Sam Gagner, man, when he scored that first goal, that wasn't like a Cody Ceci goal to get the game within 3. You know, this isn't Chris Paul drills a 3 to cut the lead to 42. That was a much bigger, more meaningful goal, and I think obviously they didn't end up getting the comeback tonight because Scott Wedgwood ended up playing out of his mind because too little, too late. But yeah, that was awesome to see. What do you think of Gagner's return?
I mean, he's a legend here in oil country, right? And this is the wild thing. For the last couple of games, minus the Heritage Classic, where we've lost, we've talked about the fact that with this Oilers team going down 2 feels like the game is over, right? It feels like this is it. There's no hope of a comeback. When Gagner scored his first goal, the 4-2 goal, it suddenly felt like there was a chance. There was hope. Oh, yeah. And you could see it was an effort style play where
the building felt alive.
The building collapsed with all the ruckus. And here's the thing. We saw earlier in the game, there were a lot of net front chances, right? There were guys charging the net. There were guys trying to get sticks on loose pucks. But something about this Dallas defense, they get their sticks into lane. They get their bodies into the lane. They just prevent that final little tap in. And Wedgwood came up big, like you mentioned, a couple of times. But when you looked at that versus Gagner's goal, when Gagner was just absolutely laying himself out there on the line, that was incredible. You could feel the determination. You could feel the effort coming from his body. And once that happened, you could see that celebration from Gagner as well. Like that's going to be one of the all-time celebrations, I think, in his tenure. When we look at the third goal, right? Again, that was something that we didn't see capitalizing earlier on in the game. These 2-on-1 chances, Dallas didn't give up many of them, and the Oilers just had absolutely no finish. But Gagner, again, it wasn't like a very clean play. He just kind of got a little bit of a stick on it, and it trickled past Wedgwood a little bit. It doesn't have to be pretty. And Gagner is showing that if you just put in a little extra effort, even coming off of like a double hip surgery, if you put in the amount of effort, you will get rewarded for it.
Yeah, it's that never say die attitude. It's that you bring Sam Gagner played this game like one of those oil rig workers that showed up to the Heritage Classic. I don't know where any of them were tonight because a lot of them were not nowhere to be found. But Sam Gagner worked hard. He went deep. When he got the opportunity to play with skill players, whether he was playing with Derek Ryan, it didn't matter. He was always creating. He was always noticeable on the ice. He looked awesome. I hope we get to see more of Sam Gagner. I know he's old, but I really hope he can keep it up, because that's the type of player that the Oilers need in their bottom six. Way too many people, at least to me, seems like they feel like they just have their roster spot given to them, have their spot on their line given to them, and no matter what they do, they're never going to be taken off that line. Sam Gagner is someone who came in, he worked really hard, and it was very noticeable, and he created his own luck. And we sat there for 2 periods hearing, oh man, the Oilers are playing well. Man, if you had not watched any other Oilers game and watched just tonight and listened to the broadcast, but based on what Jack and Louis were saying, like, you would think Connor Brown has 6 goals this season. You would think Ryan McLeod has 5 goals and 6 assists this season. They're talking about how everyone is playing so well, and that line's going, and this line's going, and that line's going. But you look and you're like, okay, well, their box score seems to me to say 0-0-0 for the last 5 games, 0-0-0-0-0-0. Like, we need more from so many passengers. And like, there's a bunch of issues on the defense. I think the forwards, it's really, really tough. Now, we don't know, obviously, halfway through the second period, Connor Brown took a shift, got off the ice real gingerly, never ended up coming back. It went on the ice, tested out at a TV timeout, but never ended up coming back. So obviously the Oilers might have a problem here. They already can't afford to call up anyone else without sending anyone down. If they were to call someone a forward up, they would have to send down Philip Broberg. He doesn't require waivers, I believe. This might be his last year of waiver exemption. Still. Okay, so yeah, there's an interesting thing there. So if Connor Brown's out, no one knows for how long. No one knows if he'll be out at this point. We'll see what Jay Woodcroft says in his press conference. If someone in the chat could let us know what he says, that would be awesome. But like, I mean, Philip Broberg going down, honestly, might not be the worst thing, because honestly, he's not looked good at all this year. Like, it's been rough. He's been borderline unplayable.
Like, he's had his good games and he's had his terrible games. And tonight was one of those awful ones. Obviously, that second period giveaway, it just deflated the building, right? And we talked about older players. I some props to Joe Pavelski. Like, the man is almost 40. Is he already 40? He's like around that range. Yeah, he is just an old man walking around in the NHL, and he got up on that 3-on-1. He was able to capitalize. Awful for Broberg, obviously. The decision to change after giving away the puck in the neutral zone, that was really the big issue, right?
Well, if you're going to do that, get it deep. You know, like, if you don't get it deep, don't change. What the hell is wrong with you? What are you doing? You were drafted 5 years ago. You're not 18 years old anymore. It's put up or shut up. Honestly, I feel like the time to trade Philip Broberg was last year. But if I don't think Philip Broberg should be put on this roster, even in pencil anymore. It's okay. You send him to Bakersfield, you call up the forward, you start working the phones, you move him for whatever you can. Even if it's a pick, you get the cap space and you can reallocate that to whether you don't need the highest end defenseman, but you look, to me, what the Oilers need in that 7th defenseman spot is like when Alex Pietrangelo got suspended for Vegas last year, they plugged in Ben Hutton. Ben Hutton stepped in, minimum guy, stepped in perfectly, did not miss a beat. Can Philip Broberg come into the lineup when the Oilers are playing 6 defensemen in the playoffs and not miss a beat? Absolutely not. He would need to be sheltered and protected, and still he would come up with like a 30% expected goals for, a couple giveaways, and get walked by Mason Marchment or something, right?
Well, like, look at the ice time, right? Like, as soon as that giveaway happened, the Joe Pavelski goal was at 3 minutes and 25 seconds in the second period. Broberg did not play a single shift in the second period from that point on. In the third period, he played 2 shifts. Like, why go 11-7? And like you mentioned, Connor Brown was already out. He was already out in this game. And Broberg is in on this 11-7. He's technically, now they're down to 10 forwards. Broberg is not playing at all. You're going 10-6, right? Like, this is just an unbelievable situation where Woody was known for giving chances to the young guys, giving elevated chances and responsibility. But we've seen, sorry, I missed what you said, but we saw with Dylan Holloway, we've seen with Philip Broberg, we've seen with Raphael Lavoie not getting called up. There seems to be a change. Like, now Woody seems to have his guys, right? There was a time when Desharnais was slumping hard, but he still kept getting into the lineup. Janmark is obviously out right now, but I have a feeling as soon as he's back, he's going to get his spot again in the lineup. And it just doesn't make sense to me.
Unearned. Like, Janmark has not done a thing positive this season to earn himself. You can't. There's not one thing that Janmark does that you can point to and say, okay, that's why Matisse Janmark is on the Edmonton Oilers roster. I hear rumors that he's a good penalty killer, but I have yet to see it this year. The Oilers penalty killers suck, whether he's in the lineup or out of the lineup. So I don't really know what that is. One thing you talked about, like Dylan Holloway for a little bit, and again, I thought he was really good. He's around the puck, hasn't been able to convert like so many others in the Oilers' bottom six. But I do think that we're kind of running into this problem from last year where Woodcroft is slowly sliding back into that over-reliance on a couple of guys. And you just look at the ice time tonight. Leon Draisaitl played 25-58. McDavid, 25-35. Nugent Hopkins, 24-02. Evander Kane, almost 23 minutes. Hyman, almost 23 minutes. Like, you can't be doing that in the regular season consistently. You have to balance it out. You need to get those guys involved. When Jay Woodcroft was first brought in, Derek Ryan sat at a press conference and said after the game, said, oh, we all know our roles. We're getting playing time. I feel like I'm involved in the game. I'm not just sitting on the bench. And now we're falling back into this Dave Tippity, what the hell are you doing? Yeah, Philip Broberg tonight only played 5 minutes and 46 seconds. Like, what's the point of dressing him? And I understand that they're in this situation right now, specifically this situation, well, because of Ken Hall and because they know no salary cap space and they have guys who aren't hurt enough to be on LTIR or IR and they can't call up a player. So they're kind of forced to dress these short rosters, these 11-7 rosters. But if Connor Brown is hurt, all of a sudden you have to send Broberg down and you still would be going, I believe, 11-6. Even if you send Broberg down, because you literally can't afford to dress a 12th skater, which is no. So that's pretty shitty. This is if Brown isn't injured enough to go on IR, but like, yeah, right. It's just unacceptable. Like, I saw some people starting to slowly point the finger at 97-29 tonight, saying, okay, the Oilers' best players have not been their best players and whatever. And I have a tough time doing that because I know, again, we all know McDavid's injured. We all know what he's capable of when he's healthy. We all have seen Leon Draisaitl go supernova in the playoffs and a million times when he's healthy. Like, sometimes you do have off nights. The Oilers still put up 49 shots on goal. I think getting goalie by Scott Wedgwood is still unacceptable. Like, and again, this kind of all points to the problem that I was talking about, and a lot of people didn't like it because, again, if you look at the Stars' goals, the first goal that they scored on the 2-on-1 by Duchesne, I think Skinner should have had that. It was a shot on a 2-on-1, 20 feet out. Nurse kind of took away the pass, whether you like him on his stomach or not. He kind of took away the pass, gave Skinner the shooter. Duchesne beats him clean under the 5-hole. It's 1-0, right? Then the second goal was an odd man rush from the Stars. I think it was Hintz scored that one.
The Pavelski one, right?
The Pavelski.
That was a 3-on-1 off of that change from Broberg.
So two of them are 3-on-1. So it's the 4-on-1. The 4-on-1 was a 3-on-1, and then the 3-1 was on the Stars power play. They're 2 for 23 all year. Of course, you knew a goal was coming at that point, and I don't know if Darnell Nurse puts it in his own net. I don't know what Stuart Skinner's doing there. Like, again, I'm not a goalie guy, obviously. But I've watched enough hockey. And again, you tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you think I'm crazy. But like, if Stuart Skinner's just set in the position or at the top of his crease, does the puck not just hit him? Like, what's he doing sliding from side to side there? I don't understand the thought process. That was such a light tip. And we saw the puck kind of bounce off Kulak earlier in the second, and Skinner came sliding across and made what looked to be a really big glove save. Like, I don't know if that's the move that he was going for or what was going on in that play. But to me, the first goal and the third goal, the Stars goal, shouldn't have gone in. Even if you want to say the third one was more so luck than bad goaltending, there's still every single game we sit here at the end of the night and we say, okay, this goal shouldn't have gone in. That goal shouldn't have gone in. And then you have other people saying, well, if you look, Evan, and again, I fully agree that on the 3-1 goal, Evan Bouchard made an atrocious play. But if you look at some of the goals, you can say, okay, well, why was Darnell Nurse here? Why the Oilers shouldn't have given up this odd man rush there? They shouldn't have done that. But no one, like, not every single high danger chance is a goal. Like for Dallas, look at the amount of chances at the end the Oilers got. There was that tip in the slot, I believe, by Kane with like 30 seconds left, and Wedgwood made an amazing save. Was just in position. The puck hit him, but that was a really, really, really tough save. At the end of the night, Scott Wedgwood finishes with 2.55 goal saves above expected, and Stuart Skinner finishes with 0.98 goals below expected. Right, so he let in an extra goal than an average goalie or whatever would have is expected to let in with the amount of quality and number of chances that he faced. So it's just that's the frustrating thing to me.
Yeah, like the Oilers were obviously in the third, they're incredibly dominant, but throughout the entire game, the Oilers were getting way more chances. It was just every transitional sort of play that the Stars did was so dangerous, and it led to, I think, directly 2 goals, like you mentioned. Yeah, we'll give that issue to Bouchard. Honestly, Bouchard, other than the gliding back on that 4th goal for the Stars, I think he was always buzzing in the offensive zone. It just didn't go his way today, right? Like 3 posts in the second period.
There 3 posts.
3 posts.
Just such insane. Like that. Like yes, that is puck luck. That is puck luck. I understand, but when that puck hits the post, crash the net, create a second opportunity. There's this. I'm gonna die on the hill that this was a winnable game. The Oilers were by far the better team. By far the better team tonight. They created more opportunities. They possessed the puck much longer in the offensive zone. They had the better quality of opportunities. It felt like every single decent opportunity, every odd man rush that the Dallas Stars got ended up in the back of the net. It's unfortunate. It really sucks. And the thing is, now that again, the Oilers are 2-6-1. If the Oilers were 5-3-2 or whatever, and we're sitting here saying, okay, bad game, bad luck, Leon's gonna be off, Connor's gonna be off for a couple games, that's one thing. I get it. They have 2 wins on the season. Is Calgary a playoff team? Absolutely not. Is Nashville a playoff team? I don't believe so. They've beaten 2 pretty rough opponents. Every other team, there's a million excuses as to why they lost, whether it's the defense, the goaltending, the forwards. Enough is enough. This was a team that was put at the top of the standings by every single person before the season. I truly believed in my heart that this was the best Oilers or best roster the Edmonton Oilers have had, since 1986? Honestly,
clearly, yeah. Like honestly, other than the cup winning teams, it's so disappointing to see. Like there's other things too. It's none of these on its own are the defining factor of why the Oilers are losing. But like Ekholm doesn't look as good as he was last season, right?
That's
like
a conversation right there.
That's another
Ekholm is another conversation me and you can have. Before we continue on, one thing I do want to say, we got 60 people watching. We only got 16 likes. I want to say what's up to Black Massacra, Wise Kyle, Eric Tanner, MGD, David W, Michael Kirkpatrick, Black Massacra joining us from Germany, Abby, a Bruins fan, joining us tonight. Tons of people in the chat. I appreciate you guys. Shaden, obviously, he's going to be on next game. Travis Sautner, talking about waiving Connor Brown, which even I don't think we should do that, but whatever, that's another conversation. Audie even joining us to listen to me bitch and complain, or whine and complain, as he was saying earlier. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. If you guys want to go ahead and hit like, we really appreciate it, because obviously we don't have much to smile about other than that. Just in regards to Matthias Ekholm, I think that's a conversation. I think this is something that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, and I understand. And the caveat in the context here is Matthias Ekholm missed all of training camp with a hip injury. He missed the first game of the season with a hip injury, kind of jumped in probably too early. But this is not even close to the Matthias Ekholm that we saw last season. The Oilers, when Matthias Ekholm joined, he was a revelation. It was like getting prime Oscar Klefbom back, honestly. He was so good on both ends of the ice. He was dominant offensively. He was dominant defensively. When he was on the ice, the Oilers were not trapped in their own zone. He was helping the Oilers exit the zone immensely. And so we haven't seen any of that.
So many smart little plays from Ekholm, right? Remember last year, one of the early games that Ekholm played in, the little push on Nuge to get him a little bit faster towards the speeding back into the defensive zone, and that took away a chance. I can't remember what game that was, but that was a big highlight such early on into his Oilers tenure. But Ekholm this season, like you said, he's obviously had to work through a couple of things, but right now it's already like the season's ticking away, right? We're 2-6-1 at this point. If he's not feeling good enough, he's just average right now. And by no mind, I'm not saying he's bad. He's not having like a terrible season, but he's just not the same as last year, and
not even close.
I almost feel like it's not like necessarily a physical thing that he's recovering from, not like really an injury issue. It feels like the game has almost changed for him mentally. And I think we can talk about the defensive system again, because tonight as well, I thought the system looked very different. Obviously,
they're getting better. Like they
better.
are understanding it more. They had 2 days of practice. They come into this game. They're getting better with the system. They aren't giving up the same quantity of chances that we saw in the game against Minnesota, that we saw in the first game against Vancouver, right? They're getting better in the defensive zone, and Dallas obviously is a really, really, really good team. So that in and of itself is a positive. Now, it becomes a problem when you aren't able to generate any offense. Like Sam Gagner was the guy who generated most of your offense. Evander Kane was your best forward tonight. If Evander Kane's the Oilers' best forward, their odds are, like, it's a great thing to see. Thank God Kane's coming back. Like, we need Evander Kane to play well. But odds are, if Kane is the best forward, the Oilers aren't going to win many hockey games. They need Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl to be one of the best players in the hockey game every single night. That wasn't the case tonight, and they lost.
And Nuge has not been good this season either. Like, something's up with Nuge.
Like, I thought Nuge had that bad game against Minnesota, but honestly, if I'm looking tonight, like, I thought Nuge was fine. Like, I didn't have a problem with Nuge. I thought he played pretty well. He had an assist. He wasn't on the ice for a goal against, it looks like. I thought Nuge played fine, to be honest with you. I thought Hyman was quieter tonight, but again, that kind of comes with all the Oilers top guys being quiet. Nuge is going to put up a lot of points on the power play, even though Nuge's point did come 5-on-5 tonight, which was very nice to see.
Very nice. But like, looking at it though, right? This is what I mentioned, was just the fact that it's not one factor of these players having a down season or anything like that that's killing the team. It's the fact that they're all having this down sort of time at the same time, right? Like, Nuge is fine. Like, Ekholm's doing fine, Hyman's doing fine. It's like no one's really performing to the level that we saw in the past, where if one person cooled down, we would have someone else being able to take their place, right? That next man up mentality.
And you know what makes a lot of people, I think the perception with Nuge kind of comes and goes with the Oilers power play. And again, I mean, tonight, you look, the Oilers were 0 for 4 on the power play. They had opportunities to score. If the Oilers score at least even one power play goal, different game completely, right? The fact is they go 0 for 4. Dallas scores in 23 seconds on their first one. And obviously they always kill off a later one, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. They are 50% on the penalty kill. Penalty kills atrocious. Special teams are atrocious. And for a big part of the Oilers' identity last year was special teams. They were not a 5-on-5 team. Obviously the goal was to become a much better 5-on-5 team. I mean, has that happened? I don't think so. I think the results kind of speak for themselves, but the fact that the Oilers power play has kind of fallen apart from when we saw in that LA Kings series in the first round, where they were like 65% on the power play or something obscene like that. Like, it obviously they're going to get better. Like we saw in the last power play, they replaced Hyman with Kane, and honestly, that was deserved. Like, Kane was their best forward, and I understand why they do that. Now, then when we saw the second unit out, they even Gandhi on that second unit was generating chances. The thing is, I still do not understand the unwillingness to put Dylan Holloway on that second unit power play, because the zone entries, watching Darnell Nurse and Matthias Ekholm try and enter the zone on that power play is just atrocious. Pretty much they have Ryan McLeod, or it's getting dumped in and your hope to recover the puck. Like, Dylan Holloway is another guy who can skate the puck in and help you maintain possession on that second unit, even if you are only on ice for 30 seconds. Because we saw in those 30 seconds on the I believe it was the second power play, they did generate a decent amount of chances. They just couldn't do anything. Like, there was a number This was a winnable game from so
It
many
was.
different aspects, from goaltending to the play of your defense, to the play of your forwards, to the play of your power play. If you do anything in any of those aspects slightly better, score a goal in the power play, it's a completely different game. We saw them turn them on late. I think that's one of the most frustrating things. But honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, the guys that turned it on were Sam Gagner and Evander Kane. It wasn't McDavid and Draisaitl, aside from that last 2 minutes with the goalie
The
pulled,
flurry,
right? Like,
yeah. But like, here's the situation, right?
I can't even get mad. I can't like, it's just expected, honestly, at this point. Like,
It feels like it was so winnable compared to like the Minnesota game. The Minnesota game felt horrendous, right? It was just it's over. This game's over. But with Dallas, this game seemed so winnable, and you can see that the team is getting better. Like, they're slowly and gradually making improvements. I thought, again, with a new defensive system, kind of maybe fresh in their minds after the practice, the breakouts were a lot better. Right? Like, there were a few rejections still, and they ended up getting back into their own zone again, but the breakouts were a little bit better. I thought the board pressure was really nice on the sideboards. They were winning a lot of those battles. There's so much to be desired still, though. And again, with the 2-6-1, the key is you have to win. Like, if you win games and they're ugly, fine, but you're winning games, you're getting points. If you're not winning games and you win in the effort or the win-o-meter, right? If you win on the win-o-meter,
which
but
they've been
lose
winning
on the ice,
they've been winning the deserve to win a meter. That's one of the frustrating parts. It's like, okay, you're playing well enough, you have it, you're just making these brain dead mistakes. You're not finishing. Like I understand that the Oilers aren't the best of finishers outside from 97 and 29. Even 97 and 29 are not finishing like they were last year, or just have their entire careers up until this point. But it's really, really frustrating to watch some of the mistakes and some of the things that are plaguing this team this year, because they are so uncharacteristic and they really shouldn't be plaguing this team this year. But you look like Vegas hasn't lost in regulation. Vegas is up 4-2 on Winnipeg. Vancouver's winning 8-0 over San Jose. LA beat the Leafs last night. I believe, I can't remember if LA's playing tonight or not.
LA beat Ottawa tonight.
Well, LA beat Ottawa. So again, all the Pacific teams lose. You fall 2 points further back in the standings. You're about 10 points behind Vegas now. Like, it's not looking good. You can dig yourself such a deep hole. We saw for so many years in the decade of darkness, they always dig themselves this hole. And that's why I can't, like, if the Oilers would have lost 4-1, I don't know that if it was the Sam Gagner goal that just made me be like, oh, well, you know what? I got a little excited and the game felt more fun. But if it was just lethargic and they ended up losing 4-1, maybe I would have been a little more fiery, a little more angry on this post-game show. But like, I can't even bring myself up to get mad, because honestly, like, yeah, they beat the Flames and I felt really good about the Oilers at that point. But like, was this not just a little bit expected after I saw the first period? Like, you kind of just saw this happening. The way every single game, it feels like, has been going this year. Like, oh, we're going to blame puck luck. Oh, you know what? Skinner's going to let in a shitty goal. Oh, the power play is just not going to score. McDavid looks just hurt. Like, he looks like honestly, if McDavid plays, like, McDavid shouldn't play if he looks like this again.
If he's hurt,
he should not play for a while. And honestly, and that goes even with Ekholm too. Like, I am still at the point where I would sit out Matthias Ekholm to make sure he's 100%, because you saw the impact that he made last year and the hole that the Oilers had in the second pairing left side. And it doesn't feel like it's back this year, because Matthias Ekholm, even though he's hurt, is still serviceable, but he's not having near the same impact that he was able to have last year when he was fully healthy. So yeah, really, really frustrating stuff.
Frustrating game, but hey, you know what? There's a couple of good points. But first, let's get into the presser to end the show.
Absolutely.
I jotted down a couple of questions from chat. I probably have missed. Oh no, I can scroll up a little bit and I can find where these were.
Chat. Oh, Ethan brought up something interesting. He said, "Do they start Stu on Saturday?" Okay, yeah. So this was another thing that I was thinking about, because okay, this is Stuart Skinner's third start in a row. That I was kind of shocked that Jack didn't start tonight, even though Jack hasn't been really good so far this season. It's really that was a red flag to me almost, because that's showing me that once again we're back at a point where they do not have, no matter what anyone says publicly, they do not have faith in Jack Campbell to go out there and give you a 900 save percentage or better. They did not have faith in Jack Campbell. Now, Stuart Skinner played good in the Battle of Alberta, but the whole thing was you got to keep rolling. You got to have a tandem. You got to have both guys going at all times. They had a number of days off. I was really surprised. Now, if Campbell starts on Saturday, which I imagine he will, he wouldn't have started for what, 8 days now, something like that, because he hasn't played. He would have missed the last 3 games. So it's really weird almost to keep a goalie on the bench cold for that long. To me,
and is it fair to him as well?
I think, right? I mean, based on his play, I think it is fair. But I do, I think it's a red flag to me saying that the Oilers, once again, 8 games or 9 games in the season now, don't trust Jack Campbell to be their goalie. And the thing is, Stuart Skinner right now, and I know I've been hard on him. I've been very hard on him this year because I don't care who's in net. I truly don't. It could be Scott Wedgwood. I really don't care. I just want a 900 save percentage and average goaltending, because the Oilers, with even that, would have a significantly better record than they do thus far. And they haven't gotten that. And it's one of the reasons as to why they're in the hole. And Stuart Skinner, he's in this position because the Oilers paid Jack Campbell $5.25 million to come in and be an above average starter. And he is incapable of doing it yet again. And the Oilers are scrambling to protect him. And they're putting Skinner in a position that he probably shouldn't be in. Like, Skinner, just turned 25, I believe?
Somewhere around there, honestly,
he's
right?
Young.
The fact that Skinner was able to take them as far as he did last playoffs was a miracle, right? You threw this untested goaltender into the big league, and then you rode him for so many games, right? And the fact that it panned out was great, but now you're seeing a little bit of a recession or a regression on Skinner's part. And Campbell's still not good enough. Like, he still hasn't recovered. So early on in the season, we were so hyped about Campbell coming back. He was feeling good. Preseason looked good for Campbell. And then all of a sudden, 3 games? How many games did he actually play? 4 games?
Campbell?
Yeah.
This year, he played the first game. He did not play the second game. He played the second game, I believe. Yeah.
There's only 9 games, so it's 4.
Yeah, he would have played 4 because Skinner had a record. Or no, Skinner played 4, so Campbell would have played 5. Oh, now I got to check the game log.
Whatever it might be, 4 or 5 games, and you've completely shot the confidence in Jack Campbell again, right? He's now borderline unplayable again.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, yeah.
At the same time, right? There's more factors. It's just that goaltending is not helping them out at all. The other question I wanted to get to, they've played McDavid and Draisaitl on the same line a couple times now. Do you believe that we should split McDavid and Draisaitl for the next game?
Yes, but obviously, yes. So I really do. I think Evander Kane's playing phenomenal. Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, for the most part, I think, on that line. That line to me, once again, they looked really good. In the playoffs against Vegas, that line struggled, but they shouldn't have even been together in the first place. And that's a whole other conversation. So that's why I believe if McDavid is healthy, he should 100% be centering his own line. If McDavid is not healthy, he should not be in the lineup. That's where I'm at. Playing them together, no points. What is the point of putting your 2 most dynamic weapons in the NHL on the same line and having them both get shut down? Spread the wealth out. You got to stop just loading up one line, playing them 25 minutes a game. This is insanity. We've seen this fail. Different coaches have tried it. Hitchcock, McClellan, it kind of works for McClellan, but Dave Tippett, Jay Woodcroft, they fall into the same stupid trap of playing these guys together. A team figures out how to quiet them down, even limit them to, and it didn't happen this game, but limit them to 1 or 2 goals, and then you keep the rest of the Oilers quiet because all of the offense is put on 1 or 2 lines.
And the rest get caved in.
Flounder, and then you lose in the playoffs. This is not a recipe for success. What I thought the Oilers would be doing this year is kind of building these habits early on to kind of work their way into the playoffs, keeping their goals against low, maintaining your 5-on-5 offense. I thought they would be building these, but I should have seen it when he started playing these guys together in the preseason. but like they've just kind of fallen into the trap of all these problems and these conditions that have ailed them in years past, and they're not getting away from it. And they need to, because there's no way. And yes, you can go and beat a team like Calgary, and you could go and beat a team like Nashville with McDavid and Draisaitl loaded up. But when you play a team like Dallas, and did they have their best game again tonight? No. But a team like Dallas, a team like Vegas, a team like Colorado can limit their opportunities. They can shut that line down and have that line only score 2 goals in a game, which is shutting that line down. So if you have a team that can do that, you shouldn't put yourself in that position. You've got to be spreading the wealth. Look at the top 3 lines on Vegas. Look at the top 3 lines on LA.
So much depth.
It's completely night and day from what we see on this team. And I like the players that the Oilers have. I actually really do. You wouldn't think that by what I'm saying. But the way they're being deployed right now, both minutes-wise and just pure lines-wise, it doesn't make sense, and it's not a recipe for success. The longer you're going to beat the Ottawas, you're going to beat the San Jose's, you're going to put up points there. But when you play your Dallases and your Colorados, this is how you lose to them.
And like, they have a bit of an opportunity. Like, obviously next game is against Nashville. San Jose's coming in next week as well. Seattle twice. So like there's a couple of chances here to get some points, but at this rate, if they don't, this is looking at more and more like a wash of a season. Like,
which is unacceptable. Like, already all these problems that we go back to, whether you look at the fact that they have to play short a man like multiple times this season because of the salary cap, the makeup of the defense, Jack Campbell's contract, it all goes back to Ken Holland. And the further this season goes down the toilet, obviously I'm sure we're going to have that conversation much more in depth. But again, here's hoping they can turn it around. Now, the only thing, again, we can sit here and say, like, again, the Oilers were PDO. Bad luck again today. I don't know how this streak of bad luck is continuing, but it has continued. Odds, like, logically, it should break at some point. Back. They should be able to stretch 5 wins in a row against these opponents where they are putting up obscene amounts of shots and out-chancing the teams and whatever. We should see. But again, if Scott Wedgwood and Jonathan Quick were able to shut down the Oilers offense, like, even though they are playing Nashville, Nashville's the exception. Nashville's I don't know, but you move on to Seattle and, it could be Philip Grubauer could shut down the Oilers. Like, I have no idea. It's really, really upsetting. Now, the last thing that I will say is, I believe last year on American Thanksgiving, the Oilers were outside of a playoff spot. So,
it's a little early.
There's always stuff to panic about. I'm not going to stop panicking. That's for sure.
It's nothing wrong with a little bit of sensationalizing for the show.
I'm just tired today. Yeah, you're right. Nothing wrong with it. And I'm tired.
Like, hopefully next game is going to be a good one. Like you said, Oilers love playing against Nashville. Hopefully it's going to be a win. It's Saturday, November 4th. It's a 1 p.m. Mountain Time puck drop. Zach is going to be doing that one with Shaden, a regular guest here. Right. Absolutely. On. He's going to be on for the first time. And just to end it with a little bit of levity, I got out of the closet here. I got a 2010 playbook from one of the games at Rexall back then. And there's a much younger, much more dapper looking Sam Gagner.
Yeah, no beard.
And Steve Tambellini famously said here, Sam is a key part of our organization moving forward. We are looking forward to him taking on a larger role with our club. Little did we know that would be in 2023.
Awesome.
That's it for us, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Have a fantastic night. Zach, where can they find you?
You can find me at zwheel97 on Twitter. And Dennis, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Dennis Lee YEG. That's it. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah.